Hello my friends, now it's the crazy situation happening on the front lines. Russia is withdrawing its forces from the Pokrovsk direction and they send all of their units towards this direction. They try to break through towards Dnipropetrovsk region. So before they accumulated the forces in this region, and we all expect the Russian attack may start towards Pokrovsk, Mirnograd for them to close this pocket, and also they could go towards Dobrapilya direction and with their second attempt to break Ukrainian defense, the main Ukrainian defense line. But with this withdrawal of the forces, this plan looks absolutely unrealistic. And again, they withdraw the forces not behind the front lines, no, they're sending those to reinforce a recently successful direction for the Russian army, where they continue to gain more territories, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. So here's the recent update. This is Pokrovsk, and Russia is just taking the forces out. So 74 motorized brigade, 137th, 55th, plus some other different regiments were taken from the place to reinforce Dnipropetrovsk direction. Because actually here Russians crossed the river and partially broke Ukrainian defense line, the first one. While judging on those forces deployed, I may say that they might try to attack even Novopavlivka from two of the directions. And here it's 100% that Ukrainian defense is not as robust as in Pokrovsk. So here's the report. Russians moved the 90th Tank Division and lots of the brigades redeployed from southern Pokrovsk towards Novopavlivka. Novopavlivka is over here, which I showed you, yeah? Which means that only 15th and 30th brigades and elements of 27th Division remain south of Pokrovsk. So not many forces left there. It means that Russia will not attack Pokrovsk from the south. They are focused now on different direction. It changes absolutely everything. I mean, situation in the eastern front lines at least. But it could also touch potentially southern front lines, because this breakthrough, potentially, if it happens, Russians might use even to go to Zaporizhia. Yes, Zaporizhia is far away still, but they might try to go to the main supply highway in Pokrovsk village. I think it's better to review this wide scale of events. So Pokrovsk is over here. Russia is sending their forces here and here from Pokrovsk, again for potential breakthrough Ukrainian main defense lines, but there is the other defense line, and it is going somewhere near Pokrovsk. Well, I'll try to find out the map with the Ukrainian defense line. At first I was sure that it was going somewhere here, but I think it's after all a little behind. I will search for it. Russians are trying to move towards this place from Velika Novosilka, and also they might try to attack from this newly created bridgehead. If they of course cross the river and some of the natural obstacles, well, partially they already did it with some of the small amount of the forces, but major forces are unable to do it yet. Russians need to move their vehicles for the successful assault towards Pokrovsk, and from Pokrovsk Russians might advance further to Zaporizhia. That's the main target. So here we have Pokrovsk, and there is the river goes southbound to Hulaypole, and those are the Russian attack vectors. They want to advance and cross Ukrainian defense, and if they do it successfully, they might even increase the pace of their attacks, because there are not many settlements in this vast area and there are not many defense lines until Vilyansk, and this line is not as robust as this initial one. But we know that the Ukraine is digging some trenches even in this area now. Well, for now it's just the planning of the Russian attack. They want to go to Pokrovsk, but I don't think it's real for extensive period of time, because Russian army is basically exhausted. Nevertheless, they move some of their reinforcements and now they have new goal. And if we check out this vulnerable part of the front lines, for example Zaporizhia region and Dnipropetrovsk, you see one more Russian advancement which happened for the last 24 hours, so yesterday and today, and every day they take the ground, so they want to pour their forces to the most profitable direction for them. But it is not Donbass, this is Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. If we speak about this part, it is not in the Russian constitution. Putin put Zaporizhia and Donetsk Oblast, but not Dnipropetrovsk, so why Russians are fighting for this piece of land? Well, the answer for that is pretty much simple. Russians want to occupy the entire Ukraine. By the way, about Sumy, I expected some of the good news to come, but unfortunately we have bad news. After all, Russians managed to get some of the reinforcements to this region. Yesterday there was heavy battle in Alexeyevka, and near it Russians at first retreated, but later on they pushed quite hard. So it was yesterday and it is. Today, they advanced towards Novomykhailovka, which was previously liberated by Ukrainian army. It's the first territorial gain for the Russian army in Sumy direction for the last several months. Yeah, you see this movement. So before, just Ukraine was getting some of the ground, pushing Russians aft and aft towards their border. But with this one, yeah, Russians didn't occupy any sort of the new village, but Novomykhailovka is under the threat now. As well as more Russian forces moved to the northern part of Alexeyevka, according to my information. Also, Russians are moving a little towards Konstantinovka from Alexander Shiltine, so it was a couple of days ago, and it is right now a little bit expanding the gray area and advanced with the red ones. It's been stated as this forest patch is now under their control. Well, they move here very slowly. However, they already use lots of the artillery and drones on Konstantinovka itself. But you know, after all, the situation for Russians on the ground is far to be perfect. They again suffer significant losses with all of those midwaves. Midwaves, we continue to speak about it, but there are tons of the videos presented in Telegram, on X platform, Twitter, where you might witness what happens usually to the Russian soldiers. And you know, I subscribe also for the Russian channels out there, but they show less of the losses, honestly, less of the videos published with Ukrainian soldiers compared to those showing the Russian soldiers, like for example over here. Because of the platform regulations, I cannot show you what happened to them, but it was kaput. It happened in Novotoretsk, this is Dobropilya sector, not far away from Pokrovsk. And also Ukraine causes some of the vehicle losses for Russians. For example, this is the tow vehicle with artillery system. It was parked somewhere. And later on, Ukrainian drones found and kaputted those Russian positions together with their equipment, artillery and the vehicle. And as usual, Ukraine is using lots of the aviation. Recently, there were numerous of the strikes, especially in Pokrovsk direction. Sukhoi 27, MiG-29 continue to operate. So what Russians said at the very beginning of the war, how they annihilated Ukrainian Air Force, well, in fact, in several months, it's going to be 4 years of war, and still Ukraine is using aircraft, Soviet-made, Western-made. Russians were and are not able to establish air superiority over Ukraine or even over the eastern side of Ukraine. Yes, they also use aviation gliding bombs, but Ukraine might do it as well. Russians are not controlling the sky, so Ukrainian aviation is flying. Well, guys, if we take the situation on the front lines in general for the Russian army, it is not that good. Absolutely. They have significant losses, and the Ukraine is using this strategy to defend the territory with less losses. This is, by the way, T-62 tank, which was kaboomed some time ago. Sometimes Ukraine may also counterattack, but in most of the cases it holds the territory or even retreats a little, moving back to the new positions with a drone army. And every time Russians move to the new tree line or the new field, they are being attacked by Ukrainian drones. This process is constant, it never stops because Ukraine has lots of the drones. Well, still not enough to create the kill zone all around the front lines, but Ukraine is working on that. With the Ukrainian drone army commander Magyar, I think it is possible. Interesting, analytics from Atlantic are saying that Ukraine is winning this war. They say that a new strategy of Ukraine on the front lines is delivering surprising results. Ukraine may be winning the war of attrition. Russia expected quick gains in the northern Ukraine, but key cities and logistics hubs remain firmly under Ukrainian control. And this war is all about logistics, which is kind of weak for Russians. Meanwhile, we have good news. Ukraine started to obtain some of the armored vehicles from Italy. This train was spotted in Italy, I guess. Plus one more full of Puma vehicles was spotted in Slovenia. You can see there are multiple of those units. As reported, this train goes to Ukraine. Also, kind of the strange stuff is happening with the Czech Republic. They want to give Ukraine more of the tanks. Why is it strange? Because Ukrainian skeptic won elections. His party got 30%, it's the leading one, and it will create the coalitions with many right parties in Czech Republic. Andrei, I guess the name of the guy, I thought he would be a next Orban, but Czech Republic is definitely willing to support Ukraine. And today, Andrei said that in general, initiative for Ukrainian military support is good. Well, I expect that after all he will try to pass this Czech initiative to some sort of the other country, like for example France, but it will continue. European partners will support Ukraine. And here we are speaking about roughly 30 of the modernized T-72 tanks. Ukraine needs those tanks because there are some of the losses on the front lines. So what is happening in Russia? Obviously, more kabooms every day. In Novosibirsk, this factory was hit. It was producing some of the components and details for Russian military. Firefighters reported that they eliminated the fire, but as we see, the structure is fully destroyed. Yep, it is completely gone. And this is the glow somewhere in Volgograd region. So far, I'm out of clue what was hit there, but locals reported about kaboom. In Rostov Oblast, the electrical substation is on fire. It's been confirmed by the NASA satellites, and here Russians give us the analysis of their refineries and other military targets which were hit. Totally 40 of the targets were kaboomed, which makes the months of August and September the most profitable for Ukrainian long-range attacks. A Russian Foreign Minister Deputy Sergei Rybkov stated that all of the positivity which was gained between United States and Russia during Alaska meeting is now mostly ruined. Well, kind of interesting. Maybe it gives us the hint that United States is pushing Russia more, and Russians, they don't like it. Again, about Tomahawk missiles, I don't know how you can call them. Well, I personally don't think that Donald Trump will support them to Ukraine. Well, I would be shocked if it really happens. Surprise, surprise. But it seems like Russians really think that it could be like that. So Donald Trump is in a way pushing Russians or pricing them, especially Putin. That's why Putin wants to counteract to that, he's been called a paper tiger or something. And you know what? After Rybkov stated about worsening relations with the United States of America, a Russian stock market plunged down by a lot. Some of the companies lost more than 10%. Kind of the bad news. And guys, please, if you want to support the job that I do here on this channel, you may follow me on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or join the membership of the channel. Thank you guys for your kind support and motivation. Because of your support, I am filming the content on this channel, so thank you so much for it. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.